Hey everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the Linkle story review. Now, if you haven't seen part 1, just click on the link in the description and it'll take you there. Now, I'd like to note that in the last review, I actually made a couple mistakes. In the last review, I called the water drops water orbs. They are specifically called water drops. And there's a reason for this. And in this review, my voiceover is previously recorded, so I'm going to make the error again, but I'm going to explain it right now, is that you use these water drops to water these plants that you use to get your new weapons, which it makes sense because you're saving a mother flower. There's one more mistake that I made in the last review, is I said you don't use the A button for anything. But when I went back and played my file, which had almost completely finished the game, I suddenly remembered that yes, you do use it later for something. It's like if you kill a number of enemies, this new power gauge comes up, and if you press and hold it, you go like all Super Saiyan and can kill a bunch of enemies and get all powerful. So you do use the A button, but it's not until way later in the game. So now, with all that out of the way, do you really set off on your journey after all that?
Nope, seems like there's more to it. Your first stop is this completely barren land. From what I can gather, since Ungaro has kidnapped the mother flower, the planet has started to die and become polluted, causing monsters to take over. By talking to the cat, you'll get your first weapon, a staff, as well as your first magic item, bubbles! Or water, whatever you want to call it. Basically, by using this, your friend can attack with water. So, after talking to the spastic squirrel, you go back to the main world map. Now you can go to your first dungeon. Most dungeons are pretty much the same. Not much in puzzle solving. You just fight your way through each one and beat the boss at the end. I've found each one to be rather easy, and I've only died a couple of times in the game. The only thing that makes this game difficult is the language barrier. You're never sure where to go next, and this game is very specific. After the first dungeon, you go back to the barren land. Remember where this is on the map because you're going to be here a lot. This is what I call the weapon exchange. Now that this area is clean, the squirrel gets all excited. Now remember those blue orbs you've been collecting? Think of them as money. You feed these orbs to the plants, and in exchange you get a new weapon. In the beginning of the game, you can only carry one weapon, but as you get further, you can hold more and access them by pressing the shoulder buttons. The entire weapon thing is kinda confusing, but this is what I can gather. You can have a staff, a sword, a spear, and a boomerang. Each weapon has their own stats, and some work better on other monsters. As you progress through the game, you can unlock more areas of the barren land, feed more plant orbs, and upgrade a certain weapon. This not only makes them stronger, but as far as I can tell, you can give them magical items that will give them elemental attacks. These items you can also give to Puchimuku, and you can upgrade these as well. The upgrades for these items, however, you just have to find while exploring the many continents of the world.
So, that's the basics of the game. Go through dungeons, upgrade weapons, beat bosses. I mean, it sounds easy, but it can actually get really hard because this game is very specific on where you have to go, and there is that language barrier.
Sometimes you have to go back to your village and talk to your friends before going to a dungeon, or upgrade a weapon, or even talk to a specific character. At one point in the game, you meet La La La, the rabbit on the main cover. By being on the main cover, it suggests that she might be a main character, but I have yet to figure out what importance she has to the story.
And that's Linkle's story. I mean, eventually you do face Ungaro in this floating ship, and it does crash, and you defeat him, but that's not the end of the game, which leads me to believe that there is a bigger, badder boss out there in the game. But I couldn't tell you who. I mean, I really tried to beat this game. I went everywhere, but I couldn't find out where to go next because of the language barrier. So that's as far as I can take you. I'm sorry I can't show you the end of the game, so let's just wrap this review up and give the game its score. So, because this game can get really specific on you have to talk to a certain person or do a certain thing before you can move on to the game, it can get really troubling for us who don't understand. So, because of that, I give this game 3 barriers out of 5. 3 barriers.
Really, this game is easy in gameplay and a lot of fun. If you really like puzzle solving and love trying to get past language barriers like me, you'll probably still enjoy this game. Just be prepared for some frustration when you can't figure out where to go next.
Now, of course, course this game may be frustrating because of the language barrier, but it can be really fun, so how fun is it? Well, out of 5, I give this game 3 Puchimukus.
This game really is fun. It's got a great soundtrack, cute characters, and beautiful dungeons and backgrounds. The controls are responsive and it's really interesting to play. When I knew what I was doing, I was having tons of fun. The only reason I didn't give this game a 5 out of 5 was because the language barrier can make this game just too frustrating at times.
And of course, for those who are curious to try the game out, how much does this game cost? Well, it's kind of rare to find on eBay. You won't find many listings for it, but if you do manage to snag a copy, it's only about $10 to $20. I grabbed mine for about $15 and it was worth every penny. Well, that's all for now. Next time I'll be looking at the N64 game Wonder Project J2. I'm Meru-Sama, and insert my catchphrase. How about right over here? Yeah, sure, why not?